In today's video, we'll be looking at someone who's age 61 with $885,000 in savings and determining whether or not they should file for their Social Security benefits at the age of 62. My company and I have helped countless clients to navigate the complexities of retirement planning so that they can have the best retirement experience possible. And one of the most difficult decisions to make in this process is deciding when you should file for your Social Security. So in this video, we're going to clarify this. We'll look at someone who's age 62 with $885,000 saved and walk through the decision-making process of whether or not they should claim for their Social Security next year. So let's get right into it. All right, so before we jump into the analysis, let's quickly go over some of the important details as it relates to our pre-retiree, John Dole. So John is currently 61 years old, he's not married, and he doesn't have any children. Let's take a quick look at John's net worth. So in taxable, non-retirement accounts, John has roughly $445,000 spread across various types of investments, including his emergency savings. In retirement accounts, John has accumulated roughly $445,000. He owns his primary residence, which is worth around $500,000, and he has a line of credit borrowed against his house for around $80,000 that he recently used to make home improvements. So in terms of financial investments and savings, John has roughly $885,000, and in total, after including his primary residence and subtracting out the outstanding debt, his net worth is around $1.3 million. In terms of income, John's been working as a project manager, and he currently earns around $150,000 each year, which has been pretty stable throughout his career, increasing year over year, right around with the national wages average. Based on John's historical income that he's paid his FICA taxes on, his estimated Social Security benefits would be around $40,236 a year in today's dollars if he waits until his full retirement age is 67. Now, we can only cover this case in a small amount of detail here because we have to move on to the next step in the decision-making process. But we'll be looking at this topic in much more detail in a video later this month, so click subscribe so you don't miss it. So back to the question at hand. Should John begin collecting his Social Security benefits as soon as he's eligible at the age of 62, or should he wait to collect and allow his benefits to grow? The dilemma with Social Security is that you're faced with a trade-off. Take a lower benefit sooner, providing immediate income, or wait for a higher benefit later, potentially maximizing your lifetime payout if you live long enough. The first thing that I like to do is consider this choice from an investment standpoint. After all, if you delay Social Security, there's several years where you're foregoing benefits that could have been used or spent or invested. So it's worth asking, what kind of investment return would you need to earn to match or exceed the value of waiting? And is it realistic to expect your investments to outperform the increase that you'd get from delaying Social Security? In John's case, if he takes his benefits at 67, he gets nothing until then, but starts receiving $13,000 a year more in the future versus if he took it at the age of 62. So what investment return would he have to earn on those dollars received from the age of 62 to 67 to match or exceed the increase in benefits had he waited? If he lives until the age of 81, he needs to earn a 3.3% compounded annual return on his money. There's a 73% chance that he'd still be alive at this point. If he lives until the age of 85, he'd then have to earn a 5.1% return on the money. There's a 62% chance he'd still be alive at this point. And if he lives until 90, he'd have to earn a 6.3% return on his money. There's a 46% chance that he's still alive at this point. This is the real power of Social Security. The return on waiting to file only grows the longer that you live, truly making it the most powerful longevity hedge out there. And John's already accepting risk on his investments. But I digress. Let's take a look at this from another perspective. So for John, ignoring the investment comparison side of the equation, what we really need to do is consider this decision in the context of his overall retirement goals. From John's $150,000 wage, of this wage, he's been putting roughly $8,000 into his IRA, paying $50,000 in taxes, and his bank savings have been gradually rising by around $10,000 a year. So he's confident in saying that he's been spending roughly $150,000 minus $8,000 minus $50,000 and then minus $10,000 for an annual ongoing spending assumption of roughly $82,000 per year. His goal is to never have to rely on his home to replenish his financial assets because he doesn't want to be forced to rent some apartment or to have to go back to work during his later years. So our base case is that he retires at the age of 62, takes his Social Security at the same time, and as you can see, based on how much money that he has and what he needs for his spending, his money is projected to run out by the age of 81 in an average case market scenario. And if we look at this statistically, there's a 25% chance that he'll have to either sell his home and rent or cut his spending or go back to work before the age of 77, which is simply not comfortable with those odds. And I don't blame him. So let's push out retirement to the age of 65 and see how that changes things. And unfortunately for John, if he continues to work and he files for his Social Security benefits at the age of 62, he's going to exceed the earnings limit and essentially lose all of the Social Security benefits during those years until he reaches the age of 67. So although his odds do improve with his money now getting out to his mid-80s, it really wouldn't make sense for him to file for his benefits while he's still working at this wage level because he'll exceed the earnings limit that's imposed by Social Security, and they'll withhold most of his benefits. So he's feeling good about stopping work at the age of 65 instead of the age of 62, but should he file for Social Security benefits at 62, or should he wait until his full retirement? If he files at the age of 67 and stops working at the age of 65, now his bad market risk scenario gets him out until his late 80s, with the average case where he never runs out of money. It's clear that in John's case, filing for Social Security at the age of 62 does not make sense. He would benefit much more by waiting at least until the age of 67. For others planning for their own retirement, unless there's a specific reason to expect a shorter than average life expectancy, I've found that it's generally uncommon for filing early to be the best choice. Now that you know what makes the most sense for John, who's the age of 61 with $885,000 saved, you can better plan for your own retirement. However, here's the thing. Even if you're in a situation that's very similar to John's, even the smallest variable or the smallest factor could sway you into claiming Social Security at the age of 62. Since this is only a generalized YouTube video, I can't sit down and look at your own situation and help you through this decision-making process. But I want to make sure that you walk away from this video with no questions unanswered, and with a plan to move forward with your own retirement. And that's exactly why I want to offer you an entirely complimentary one-on-one consultation with me, where I'll look at your exact situation and help you to decide whether or not to claim for your Social Security benefits. So click the link in the description of this video and book an entirely complimentary call. I'll see you in the next one.